What happens immediately after you die? Nobody tells you this. 1. Stop everything. Stop everything you're doing, not out of fear, but because you're standing at the edge of something that could change everything you know about yourself. What if everything you've been told about death is only the beginning of a deeper lie? 2. The book that is whispered when we die. Imagine an ancient text, not meant to be read in a library, but whispered beside your deathbed as your final breath slips away. A sacred guide written over 1,000 years ago, not to explain death, but to help you pass through it, consciously. 3. Not an end, but a threshold. We treat death as a full stop, but what if it's more like a doorway, a transition point between realities? The Tibetan Book of the Dead, Bardo suggests that death is not darkness, but overwhelming light, and the greatest danger is that we might be too afraid to recognize it. The problem is not death, but not knowing that you are alive. The book doesn't just describe what happens after death, it holds up a mirror to our current lives. Because in truth, we die every day. In the endings, the heartbreaks, the moments of silence where the old self dissolves. Those are Bardo's too, transitions where the soul can wake up or fall back asleep. 5. Stages of consciousness after death. The text describes 3 key stages: the moment of death, a flash of clear light, the Bardo of visions, where our unhealed psyche becomes a theater of gods and demons, the Bardo of rebirth, where our desires decide what life we're drawn into next. But here's the twist. These aren't just stages of dying, they are states of living, hidden in every decision we make. 6. The first light, the opportunity to awaken. At the moment of death, you'll see a brilliant light, not from outside, but from within. It is your true nature, uncovered at last. If you can recognize it, not fear it, you are free, liberated. But if your mind retreats, if you've never trained to see it, you're pulled into illusion once more. When the mind becomes a great theater, when you enter the Bardo stage of vision, you no longer see the world as it was before. You have found great images, radiant gods, fierce demons, blinding lights, terrifying sounds nearby. But the important thing is, no quantity exists outside of you. It is your mind, magnified on the screen of space. Every demon is an unhealed fear. Every Buddha is a part of the light you once forgot. It is the mind, untrained, that turns dreams into dreams. Death is not scary. It is scary only if you do not understand who you are. 8. All gods are mirrors of the mind. The peaceful gods do not come from heaven. We are the images of compassion, wisdom, love, the essences that are already within you. Other states of anger, repressed memories, incomplete data, unincubated darkness. We do not come to punish. We come to ask, are you mature enough to recognize me as you, in other forms? If you continue to run away from your maximum, you will attract another life, bearing the same fears, the same worries, in a new form. But if you can ensure that, the door to liberation will open, not because you have won, but because you have accepted. 9. There is no outside world, only the mind itself. All visions, emotions, gods, demons are symbols. They are maps of the mind. Carl Jung once said, "Gods are symbols of the mind. If you do not get used to them, they will be distributed to you in the form of fate." What you encounter in the Bardo is not myth, but your mind, disguised in the physical body. And when it cannot be covered, the mind appears as it is, not hidden, not covered, not ignored. 10. Reincarnation is not a choice. It is a consequence. Do you imagine yourself choosing a new life? No. You will be drawn to a life that is compatible with your energy. Rebirth is not a reward or a punishment. It is a reflection of your deepest psychological structure. If deep down you still have resentment, you will attract a life where you will continue to learn the lesson of forgiveness. If you still have illness, you will return to learn to let go. You do not choose where you go. You passionately lead it by who you are. 11. But there is always a gap of freedom. In the midst of that maelstrom, if you can realize that it is all just your mind, you will be free. Freedom does not come from escape from death, but from seeing that death is just a wave in the ocean of consciousness. Tibetan lamas do not meditate to escape death. They practice so that when the time comes, they will no longer be fooled by illusion. It is not a technique. It is total awareness. 12. Life, the gymnasty of death. Death is not the end. It is a test, and your whole life is a practice for that moment. Can you keep the light of consciousness when everything falls apart? When the body is gone, when the memory is gone, when the ego is gone, only one last light appears. Do you recognize it? Or will you turn away in fear? If you knew that the greatest moment of your life would be the moment of death, would you live differently? 13. Transformation practices from now. Contemplate impermanence. Everything will pass away, and that is why it is sacred. Tonglen. Breathe in the pain of others. Breathe out love. Focus on mindfulness. Don't let your mind drift away into illusions. Ask yourself often, is this feeling real? Or is it just a mental reaction? Learn to see things as symbols. What in me has created this experience? Fort. Death is not an enemy. It is a mirror. Death does not come as a punishment. It comes as a mirror that reveals your truest nature. No more identity, no more role, no more story, just consciousness, facing yourself. Liberation is not about prolonging life. It is about living fully, knowing that everything is impermanent. The Tibetan Book of the Dead does not teach you how to escape death. It teaches you to see life through the eyes of a dead person, and from there, to live truly. 15. The final invitation. I ask you, if every ending, every separation, every loss, every change were a Bardo, would you enter it consciously or be drawn into it in fear? Every ending is an invitation. Step through. Be unattached. Be aware. The secret is not how not to die. It is how to meet death in awareness. Are you ready?